Hello. Ooh, that sounded really fake. Hello. I've always been interested in stories of survival, specifically in kind of wilderness situations, and there's a show called I Shouldn't Be Alive. There are 58 episodes, and I've probably seen about a third of those. Today, I'm watching an episode from season 1, episode 4, and it is on YouTube if you want to watch the whole episode. And I like to spoil things for myself by kind of looking through the comments before I start playing the video, so let's pull up some good ones. Not to be rude, but I'm guessing Larry's entire life is an episode of I Shouldn't Be Alive. Why can't I get rescued? Well, Larry, you keep making the worst choices. And a golden comment. I'd rather break my leg again than go through the psychological torture of watching this episode once more. On that note, let's start watching.
This is the true story of two friends whose island-hopping adventure becomes a fight for survival. Now one of them has to make the most difficult decision of his life. Await death with his friend or leave him behind and face the ocean alone.
I don't like when shows give a recap at the beginning. It kind of spoils the whole episode. Now we know one of the guys leaves the other one behind. I'm assuming to go get help. They're really building this up, but I'm going to assume it's to go get help, to get some rescue for the guy that's left behind.
The sea kayaking season is over, but endurance athlete Saul Kinderis wants to conquer the San Juans. Saul and his track teammate from college, Larry Kaiser, are regular weekend warriors, but they've never kayaked together before.
Plan is to hit Strawberry Island, and after that hit Doe Bay, a 60s resort. It's got 2 hot tubs, one cold tub, clothing optional, which generally speaking means nobody wears a stitch.
The goal was to head there and take her clothes off and hit on women, basically. I mean, that was the goal.
It seems like a very specific goal. I wonder if they maybe should have reframed their thinking to, we're going to a beautiful island. It happens to be a nude beach. If we meet a nice girl, something may happen. But they've outlined their goals pretty clearly here.
You're late, Larry. You're late, Larry. 4 hours. 4? 4 hours.
I'm sorry, Saul. I just got stuck in that damn Seattle traffic.
So you gonna be up for this?
Yeah, I'm up for this.
Larry is 4 hours late, and this makes me think about what people did before the time of cell phones. Sal just waited there for 4 hours, and then Larry just kind of strolls on up.
And not only if he can do it, I can do it, but I can do it better. It's that kind of relationship that kind of got us in trouble here in this situation.
It's being set up that Sal and Larry are very competitive. All right, I've got it. I'll keep that in mind.
Up, you slug. Get down here.
Because Larry is late, they set out at night, something that even the most experienced kayaker wouldn't do, especially in winter.
Okay, to recap, the reason the season is over for sea kayaking is because it's wintertime, so it's very cold. They're going out at night. Gonna be very dark. I'm sure the moon and the stars give some light, but not enough, I would imagine. I think it would be different if it was a calmer body of water, but it's the ocean. It's constantly moving.
Women friends of mine would call it a severe case of testosterone poisoning.
I think he should say this like it's not a joke. He's saying it like it's kind of funny when it's like, no, this is the same argument of boys will be boys, kind of giving the excuse for boys to do stupid stuff.
All are paddling off the coast of America's Washington state.
Washington.
They're crossing a notoriously dangerous stretch of water, the Rosario Strait, on the way to their first destination, Strawberry Island. They need to cross quickly. Soon the tide will turn, making it virtually impossible to land on the far side.
Yeah, well, adjust your rudder.
The rudder?
Yeah, with your foot pedals, you know?
Pedals. I'm just kind of trying to fake it. And that's the first time I'd set my ass in a kayak. I'd never been in one before.
So Larry has never been in a kayak. He is a fraud. He's lied to us all. He lied to Sal. This is such a stupid thing to lie about because it doesn't just affect you, it affects the other person you're with. Now they're even more responsible for you in this situation.
It started to dawn on me that Larry is faking the expertise on the kayaking. That's when I started to figure, okay, we've gone from a trip to an adventure.
Eventually, Larry and Saul reach Strawberry Island, but they're late. The only landing spot is a sandy beach surrounded by dangerous rocks. Now, in the darkness, they face the ferocious tidal currents swirling around the island, giving the area its nickname, the Witch's Cauldron.
So Sal is going to go first and try and land on the beach because he's a more experienced kayaker and there's tons of rocks and boulders everywhere. So there's only one specific route to reach the beach. So he's going to go first and wave his flashlight back, and then Larry's going to know which direction to paddle in. Unfortunately, Larry, hits one of those rocks and kind of capsizes, and his light is kind of flailing around. And so Larry thinks that's his cue, so he goes for it. And then Larry kind of knocks into Sal, and they're both in the water.
The waves are smashing our boats on top of us and on top of the rocks. Very scary situation. Totally caught us off guard. It just happened in a split second.
This isn't really Larry's fault. Accidents happen. But then they're bickering about if they should bring the kayaks in, and obviously they should. It has all their supplies, and of course Larry wants to leave the kayaks.
I'm realizing we're definitely in a survival situation here, and we got to get our stuff up here. We got 4 days worth of food on the boats. Got enough fresh water for maybe 2 or 3 days. Without it, we're screwed.
As much as Saul and I both seek out these fun, dangerous, athletic situations, we don't have a death wish. Basically, at this point, I take my dry bag out, and my dry bag is no longer a dry bag. My dry bag is a soaked bag. All my stuff is soaked at this point. Everything.
Larry, what happened? All my stuff is wet. Well, obviously. Did you even seal this properly? This is broken.
I bet a lot of things are broken in Larry's life. His radio probably broke. That's why he was 4 hours late. His map also broke. His trail mix was broken, so he had to pull over and get some more.
All my stuff is wet. Well, obviously. Did you even seal this properly? This is broken. No, it's not broken. You didn't seal it properly. This is all cotton. How could you ever think for a winter trip packing all cotton?
This is what I like about these shows, is you learn stuff. So don't pack cotton on a winter trip. Cotton is a summer fabric.
Get into this. This is your bed. I have dry clothes. I can sleep in them.
Saul knows that in the cold and the wet, Larry's cotton clothes and his sleeping bag will take days to dry.
If I got in trouble, he wasn't going to be able to help me because we were so far out of his element. And then I'd snuggle up against the outside of his sleeping bag. Guys, especially in your 20s, you're going to go damn near hypothermic before you'll cuddle up with another guy.
He kept trying to nuzzle up to me. He was cold, and I'd get away, Saul. What are you doing? Just keep. Throughout the night, he kept getting closer and closer, and I kept going farther and farther over this edge of the tent. I like Saul, but I don't like him that much.
Okay, so I understand this was a different time, but this macho BS is not it. And I don't know why Sal is agreeing with Larry. I don't think anyone should agree with Larry about anything ever.
So we're still going to Doe Bay then?
Clothing optional.
Larry, man, we're bagging it.
I agree. Hey, do I get a say in this? Because I agree with you.
Start to pack your stuff up. We're leaving.
Saul is the expedition leader. That's how he always is. He likes being in charge.
I'm sure the dialogue in these reenactments aren't verbatim for what was said in certain situations, so I will give Larry a sand grain of slack for this dialogue here.
Did you seal your dry bag?
Yes, I did, Daddy.
Okay.
Hey, Saul. I really think I gotta take a number 2.
Yeah, there's a tide window. I'm not missing it.
This is where Sal should just hop in his kayak and paddle away.
The Nazi drill instructor was probably more what I'd become.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 4 options, Larry.
4? I don't think I can count that high.
Quit joking. Either you listen to me or you're on your own.
Ooh.
This is Strawberry Island now. This is Washington Park and our trucks. And this is the Rosario Strait between us and home. Option 1. This island back here has a cabin. We knock on their door, ask for help. Option 2. We continue further to Orcas Island here. We stash the boats and take the ferry home. I'll get the boats another day. 3. This is the toughest option. We paddle back the way we came, 3 miles across the Rosario Strait. Now, I can do any of those, so you tell me which one you want to do.
Sal, you know Larry is inexperienced at best, so anything that happens going forward is partly on Sal here. They pick option number 3, which is the hardest option, to paddle back the way they came, 3 miles.
Let's paddle back.
You sure?
Yeah, man, paddle back. Bring it up.
That was really stupid.
What won out in the very end is the same thing that got us in trouble here. It's the same thing that's got us in trouble in other times. It's our competitive nature.
Is his name Sal or Saul? Oh, I'm seeing here it's Saul.
We got 40 to 45 minutes to make this crossing before the current gets too strong.
Yeah, I know. Paddle hard. I'm not an idiot.
That is a bold claim.
In less than an hour, the tide will turn, and all the water in the channel will surge out to sea, taking them with it.
Hey, Saul! Hey, I'm taking on water here.
There is a technique for paddling into waves that stops them splashing into the boat,
Saul!
but Larry doesn't know it.
Larry, are you watching me? Okay.
I have been.
Don't let the waves hit you side on.
No.
We'll minimize the water that goes into your boat. Larry, do you understand anything I'm saying?
Saul!
Stabilizing strokes do you no good.
Saul! I have never been in a kayak before, okay?
You said that you had.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
I'm not sure why Larry thought this was the best time to share this information. I think a better time would have been when they were on the shore going over their options. Or an even better time would have been when he showed up 4 hours late. Or an even better time would have been when Saul called him and asked him if he wanted to go on this trip in the first place.
And now the powerful tidal current is pushing them dangerously off course.
Larry, this current is going to suck us out to sea. Do you understand?
Saul, I think I'm sinking.
Jeez, you just
I am, okay? I'm trying.
I could sense some panic in his voice. He knew that we had a limited amount of time to get across the channel.
We hit a point where when it got really rough, just all our forward progress stopped. I mean, 20 minutes we were roughly halfway, 40 minutes we were roughly halfway, an hour we were roughly halfway.
At this point, Larry's boat is so full of water it weighs over a ton and is impossible to maneuver.
Something unexpected is Saul leaves Larry behind. He zeroes in on his goal and kind of goes for it. I mean, he says here that he yelled back and that Larry probably couldn't hear him. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't yell back, if in that moment of frustration, he's like, I'm going to shore to get help, and just went for it. So yeah, I feel bad for Larry. That would be scary, being left out in the ocean and your friend is gone and has left you behind. But I mean, he knows that he's going to get help, right?
Back here!
You're slowly getting to this decision. It's not an easy decision to get to.
Saul, wait up!
The key for my survival and even his survival was that I make it to shore and get help. He's yelling something to me, I'm yelling back to him. I yell at him, I'm going to get help. I'm assuming he can hear me. He's probably assuming I can hear him. We really can't hear much of anything.
You don't leave your buddies. You don't leave your friends behind. And I was getting more nervous because I've got this big phobia about being swept farther and farther towards the ocean. The ocean's very big. You know, there's lots of mean things out there that will do bad things to you.
He's not wrong. The ocean is very big. Saul reaches shore and he goes to get help. Larry's kayak's filling with water still because it's been established that he doesn't know how to kayak and he doesn't know how to paddle. And even though Saul kind of tried to help him, he still is a bit oblivious here. And now Larry is in the water next to his kayak. And the narrator very helpfully tells us it will be getting dark soon.
Less than an hour before dark, Larry is in the middle of the 3-mile-wide Rosario Strait. The tidal current is sweeping him away from land and into open water.
What do I do? I mean, what are my options at this point?
His kayak contains vital supplies, fresh water, flares, and a flashlight. But Larry can see the shore, and it doesn't look far.
I don't get why Larry doesn't at least get the supplies. I can almost understand it. He's probably worried that it'll weigh him down and slow him down. But I just think that, bad decision in that moment. And he left the flares. I kind of wonder if he knew that there were even flares on that kayak. Because if he did know, maybe he forgot in that moment. But that seems like another crucial mistake.
It's just that Mother Nature and her little currents, they had a whole nother thing to say about that problem. I'm looking around and I can see kind of, boats out there. They're like crisscrossing back and forth. Help!
That's another thing I learned from these shows is if you think that help is on the way or you hope that there will be help nearby, you have to ensure that you are visible and you can be spotted. That's a pro tip right there.
I was thinking, okay, I know me, I know Larry. If there's people that can survive for a long period of time just by being stubborn and being fit enough, we fit that description.
Several miles away, a rescue team is scanning the shoreline in the hope that Larry might have made it to one of the islands.
We have a visual.
Sal hears the boat has been found on the shore of an island and that the paddle is with it, which makes him think that Larry paddled to shore. So he calls Larry's parents to tell him that that's good news, that Larry's probably on the island somewhere, and now all they have to do is find him.
The Coast Guard now concentrate on searching the island.
Meanwhile, Larry is still floating in the ocean.
Everything changed. It went from survival, I'm big, strong swimmer, I'll get across, to, I'm not going to get out of this.
8 hours since he capsized, Larry is nearly 4 miles out to sea.
Did you say red paddle?
Yes.
No black and white paddle?
No.
Now we learn that the paddle that was found is the spare paddle. So the normal paddle isn't with the boat, which makes us think that it wasn't paddled to shore.
Shortly after midnight, the Coast Guard call off the search. They assume that in the morning, they will be looking for Larry's body.
This kind of surprises me. Why do they just assume he's dead? He could just be floating out there, which he is.
Exhausted, Larry's body temperature is now so low, his life is in danger. If he doesn't start swimming again to get warm, he'll die.
I really thought, just end it now. Why even bother with this? I thought about, trying to essentially drown myself. And that's when I started thinking about my mom. And I love my parents, I love my dad, I love my family. That's where I made that decision to try to, so I say, my own sorry butt. As I'm continuing down, I can see this lighthouse coming off to my right as I'm coming up on it. And minutes, it seemed like I'd gotten a little closer to land from where I was at. I was in the middle of the channel when I first started.
The tide is sweeping Larry towards the Pacific, but by sheer luck, a side current carries him within striking distance of the last available piece of dry land.
It doesn't get much sweeter than that.
Larry Kaiser has survived 9 hours in a freezing ocean. Now, exhausted and dehydrated, he faces an even more desperate fight to stay warm on land.
The big difference between him and I is there's just not a chance in hell I would leave someone like that. I wouldn't do that, no matter what happens. If the person I'm with is going to die, I will die with them.
Saul is haunted by his decision to leave his friend behind.
It wasn't an easy decision to say, hey, I'm just going to leave Larry. It was a survival decision. The key for my survival and even his survival was that I make it to shore and get help.
Plot twist, Larry is on an island, so he's not on the mainland.
I'm thinking, what is this? I'm on an island right now, and it's another mile across to get to land again. What's the first thing they tell you to do when you're lost? You know, tell you to stay put. I don't see any helicopters, I don't see any planes, I don't see anything. So I just figured they'd given me up for dead, and I'm on my own again. What am I gonna do? Just stand here at some stupid island and stand here the rest of my life? It's not gonna work. I'm not Tom Hanks. I gotta go out and get going here, for God's sake. I'm thinking, I'm an athlete, I can do this, I can swim that. I'm gonna swim.
He keeps saying that he's an athlete, but you haven't eaten in a day, you haven't had any water, you've already been swimming a lot. I think he needs to take that into account of what he can physically do.
Stopped swimming, I turned around in the water, and there behind me, where I was standing for the previous hour, was this giant helicopter 50 feet up above the shore, right where I was standing. You've got to be kidding me. You know, you have to be kidding me. This can't be happening. I mean, why can't they see me?
He sees a lighthouse, he's able to get to it. Hopefully there's no kind of creepy lighthouse keepers about.
Is anybody there?
The lighthouse. It was uninhabited. Everything I do is not the right decision.
Whoa!
At 11:35 a.m., a rescue helicopter spots Larry and rushes him to the Ana Cortez Hospital ER.
The helicopter saves Larry. All right, cool. The two are reunited. So what is Saul going to say? I can think of a few words that I would want to say.
Yo, Larry. You okay?
Okay, that's nice. And what is Larry going to say?
Hey, Saul.
I felt good having Saul there, but you don't leave your buddy. It's not correct. It's just not right to leave someone like that.
You left me.
But he went to get help. I mean, he found you. He's the reason you're alive.
I'm just glad you're all right. Yeah, me too.
Do I hold a grudge against him for doing that? No, I don't.
It's just one of those things, it's like, yeah. The main thing I remember is being so happy to see him. It was like better than any Christmas present. Is your buddy's still alive.
10 years after their misadventure, Saul and Larry remain friends and have even kayaked together in the San Juan Islands. But they never discuss what happened, nor can they agree if Saul's decision to leave his friend behind was the right thing to do.
That seems like a really healthy friendship. I would want a friendship where I don't go through a traumatic experience with someone and we just never talk about it again, but we still stay friends and we still do the activity that we did during that traumatic experience. That seems perfectly healthy. The show is great. The reenactments are top notch. Let's look through a few more comments here. The real tragedy is that all of the naked ladies on the party island didn't experience the superior intelligence, charisma, and supreme excellent athlete that is Larry. And I have got to agree, that is the real tragedy of this experience in this episode.